down the ideation process, we can also be thinking about the world building. And it's the second part, but technically you can kind of be developing this alongside your story. The first step that I do is I think about the characters. These are the beings that are going to embody your story and carry it forward. These are the parts of the story that are talking and interacting. What are they? Where are they from? What do they do? What do they look like? These are all things that are considerations and will help you kind of inspire you even to keep writing your story, because it can kind of be a back and forth. You can be inspired by what you're drawing, and you can also be inspired to draw by what you're writing as well. In the story that I am going to be using as an example, we are going to be sketching some planets. The sun is going to be trying to make friends with the planets that are around it, and he's going to be pulling in all of these planets, and he's going to be trying. He doesn't understand why no one wants to come and hang out with him. So we already have an idea, we already have an environment, but what is it going to look like? How are we going to represent this character? How are we going to add features and feelings? And keeping in mind that anything that you create, you want it to be expressive. You want it to be something that people will resonate with and will identify with. And children will say, oh, well, even though that is a cold planet, it has features, it has characteristics. You can sketch on paper, you can sketch in, a sketchbook, you can do it on the iPad, whatever you're comfortable with. Anything works at this point. Now, my character is a planet or several planets. We'll have the sun, we may have the Earth, we may have Saturn, a few other sort of like very general things. But the first consideration is, what kind of features do I want this to have? Do I want there to be like a face? Do I want there to be, eyes and a nose and a mouth? Do I want it to be a little bit more realistic, where it's just sort of like a circle? Do I want rays coming out of it? At this point, sketching out as many options or versions as you can will give you a good idea of what you're looking for. It will give you a broad spectrum to choose from, if you will. If your character is something that doesn't normally have human features, let's say you're going the Beauty and the Beast route, where you have plates and bowls and silverware that are somehow given life. What are their features going to look like? Are they going to have very expressive human features? Are they going to have something that is a little bit more like realistic looking plates and bowls? Is it going to be very fantastical? Sketching at this point is the most important way of taking things from your mind and just putting them out on paper. When you create sketches, don't focus on small details at first. Focus on getting as many ideas as you can onto the paper. If you think too hard about individual aspects of the drawing, you're going to get hung up. You'll get hung up on details, and it's going to hold you back. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to be drawing several different versions of suns and planets. And our sun here, our character, is friendly. He wants to interact with the other planets. He wants to be friends. Those eyes are a little bit small, actually, so I'm going to try to show some more emotion. Changing the size relative to other things, the ratio or the proportions of elements, can emphasize things. That is why it's so important to sketch. You won't necessarily see those differences or those similarities unless you create a bunch of different drawings. So this is just an example of the kind of things that you can put down if you have an idea for your character. Obviously, if you were doing this seriously, this could take days or weeks of just kind of sketching different ideas, coming up with different ways of visualizing the character that you have in your mind. But when you have something that you're happy with, you can combine different elements, but you can edit them, you can put them together. But when you have something that you're happy with, that's when you start building that character out. Like, what do they look like in different positions? What do their physical characteristics and their expressions. If you feel like you are not able to capture those expressions, if this is where your own maybe artistic shortcomings may come into play, simplify things. Don't make it so complicated. You can capture expressions using very few lines, very simple things. There's a lot of good resources on drawing expressions and what kind of things you would do with your face to go with angry or sad or happy. These are all things that you can do to sort of grow your repertoire and give you more tools in order to capture these characters that you are bringing from your mind onto paper that you will use in your book.